United States has announced that it will prevent all shipping from entering or exiting Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz for as long as it takes.
Hungary's outgoing Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó will skip next week's EU Foreign Affairs meeting and has largely disappeared from public view. Europe has maybe 6 weeks or so of jet fuel left, warned the head of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol.
The United States will prevent all shipping from entering or exiting Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz for as long as it takes.
10 a.m. Eastern Standard.
U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth said the Navy is using less than 10% of its power to enforce the blockade, as he complained about allies not aiding the effort.
Iran might get a nuclear bomb. Allies have talked a lot and haven't done anything. And as the president has pointed out, this is a waterway that the American commerce doesn't use all that much. We don't rely on the energy coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, but Asia does and Europe does.
President Donald Trump also posted on social media and warned that any Iranian ships attempting to break it will be eliminated.
If they had a nuclear weapon.
The blockade began on Monday after U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance left peace negotiations in Islamabad without a deal. The blockade will apply to all vessel traffic, regardless of nationality. Traffic through the strategic waterway has been almost completely blocked since the war started on February 28th. This has sent energy prices spiking around the world. The International Energy Agency warns that Europe only has about 6 weeks of jet fuel left if supplies remain blocked.
On the second leg of his African tour, Pope Leo on Thursday traveled to the western Cameroonian city of Bamenda, preaching a message of peace to a region that's been at the epicenter of a separatist conflict that humanitarian groups have called one of the world's most neglected crises.
Jesus told us, "Blessed are the peacemakers, but woe to those who manipulate religion in the very name of God for their own military, economic, or political gain."
Pope Leo's message follows his speech given on Wednesday upon his arrival in the Central African country, where he urged the Paul Biya government to root out corruption. President Biya, who at 93 is the world's oldest leader, sat passively as Pope Leo read his speech in French at the presidential palace in Yaoundé.
Pour que la paix et la justice s'affirment, il faut en effet briser les chaînes de la corruption qui défigurent l'autorité en la vidant de sa crédibilité. Il faut libérer le cœur de cette soif de gain qui est une idolâtrie. Le véritable gain, c'est le développement humain intégral, c'est-à-dire la croissance équilibrée de tous les aspects qui font de la vie sur cette terre une bénédiction.
Being the first pope to visit Cameroon since 2009, many cheering Cameroonians gave Pope Leo a raucous welcome, lining the road into the capital, Yaoundé, from the airport, dancing and waving palm fronds as the Pope's motorcade whizzed by. Ahead of the visit, the Vatican had said fighting corruption in Cameroon would be one of the themes of Leo's visit, and the Pope did not hold back.
Hungary's outgoing Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó will skip next week's Foreign Affairs meeting in Luxembourg following the defeat of Viktor Orban's government, EU diplomats told Euronews. His office did not respond to a request for comment. Following Sunday's elections resulting in a landslide with TISA, Szijjártó has largely disappeared from public view, including social media where he used to be very active. On Monday, Hungary's Prime Minister-elect Peter Magyar accused Szijjártó of shredding sensitive documents related to Russia sanctions at the Foreign Ministry. Magyar and his Foreign Affairs advisor urged ministry staff to preserve all relevant files. The ministry rejected the claims on Wednesday, saying only paper copies of electronic files had been destroyed and no data was lost. Szijjártó was at the center of controversy during the campaign over his close ties to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Leaked phone calls suggested that he had offered to help remove Russian businessmen from the EU sanctions list and had contacted Russian counterparts during a key European summit in 2023 when Ukraine's accession talks were under discussion.
By Thursday, all ballot boxes containing votes cast abroad had arrived in Hungary. Hungarian voters cast their ballots in 149 cities around the world. Ballot boxes arrived continuously throughout the week. The National Election Office thoroughly inspected each one of them to ensure that neither the seals nor the boxes themselves had been tampered with. Only then could the opening of the ballot boxes and the sorting of the ballots begin.
Urnák zárt állapotban vannak. Aki ezzel egyetért, az tegye fel a kezét, az az igen szavazat.
According to the National Election Office, the turnout exceeded 90% at numerous overseas missions and was 100% at several smaller ones. At the overseas polling station with the highest turnout in London, 8,924 voters cast their ballots. The National Election Office will announce the nationwide results of the parliamentary election no later than on the 4th of May.
Europe could face a shortage of jet fuel in the coming weeks, said the head of the International Energy Agency, Fatih Birol, on Thursday, warning of a possible flight cancellations soon if oil supplies remain blocked by the Iran war.
But the IEA has released oil. We are in Europe. We have maybe 6 weeks or so jet fuel left. If we are not able to open the Strait of Hormuz, if the refineries, as a result, will start to work, I can tell you soon we will hear the news that some of the flights from city A to city B might be cancelled as a result of lack of jet fuel.
Last week, the Airports Council International Europe wrote to the European Commission saying shortages of jet fuel could begin at the beginning of May if tankers do not begin sailing through the Hormuz. The situation varies considerably across the continent. Austria, Bulgaria and Poland have comfortable stocks. For Britain, Iceland and the Netherlands, it is the opposite. France is somewhere in the middle, and the impact won't be the same for all airports and airlines. Airlines for Europe, a trade association that includes Air France-KLM, Lufthansa and Ryanair, has been urging the European Union to begin providing real-time information on jet fuel stocks at airports.
Polish Finance Minister Andrzej Domanski has recently advised Poles to keep cash at home in case of digital failures. We asked Warsaw residents how they feel about this and whether they keep a cash reserve for emergencies.
Uważam, że bardzo dobry pomysł. No nie można być całkowicie zależnym tylko i wyłącznie od bankomatu.
No to warto trochę mieć. Zawsze mam z sobą trochę tam do 1000 złotych mam, żeby w razie czego, bo jak podróżuję na przykład i nie ma innej opcji, często tylko gotówką.
Uważam, że tak, że musimy mieć i kartę, i pieniążki. Dlatego, że proszę sobie wyobrazić, jesteśmy w jakiejś miejscowości, ktoś nam kradnie kartę albo gubimy. No jesteśmy pod presją, prawda, że nie mamy czym zapłacić, nawet powrotu kupienia biletu.
Ja mam takie myślenie, co no gotówka to pierwsze, a po drugie to jest karta i coś tam na rachunkach. Bo tak dla zwykłej osoby, no wszystko może być. Wojna, kryzysy w świecie, tak, no i bez gotówki, no to tragedia.
Meanwhile, the European Union is rolling out the idea of a digital euro, which could help reduce dependence on American payment processes.
Nie jesteśmy w strefie euro, ale euro to jest taka pewna gotówka. No nie wiem, jak banki z tym dadzą radę, to znaczy jak to rozwiążą.
Myślę, że ta cyfryzacja na tyle postępuje, że dobrze jakbyśmy się jakoś uniezależnili od tych dużych koncernów.
After the pandemic and amid ongoing wars, cyber attacks and blackouts, more and more people prefer to hold cash in their hands rather than keep it in the digital cloud.
Rescuers began an operation on Thursday to save a humpback whale lying in shallow water near the eastern German town of Wismar on the Baltic Sea. The animal, which has been nicknamed Timmy, is sick and has barely moved for days. Many worry the animal may die soon. It is unclear why it swam into the Baltic Sea in the first place, which is so far away from its natural habitat. Some experts believe the animal might have lost its way while swimming after a shoal of herring or during migration. To get back to its natural habitat, the whale would have to travel back into the North Sea and then to the Atlantic Ocean. Previous rescue attempts temporarily freed the whale, but the animal never found its way back to the North Sea.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino has reassured that Iran will participate in the 2026 World Cup despite the war in the Middle East.
Actually, the Iranian team is coming for sure, yes. Yes.
No changes.
We hope that by then, of course, the situation will be a peaceful situation.
He stressed that sports should be outside of politics and also rejected any change of venue. Iran is scheduled to play its Group G matches in the United States. The team had asked to move the matches to Mexico following comments by US President Donald Trump discouraging their participation due to safety concerns. The tournament has created a deep rift among fans, with some refusing to watch while others deliberating protests. Players also face significant political pressure. Iran's participation had been thrown into doubt by the conflict launched by the United States and Israel in February. Although a fragile truce began in April, tensions remain high with the US blockade on Iranian ports.
Iran with a nuclear weapon